Hey guys, welcome back. Part 2 of the June 2019 Regents exam. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to do part 2 by itself, and then in the next one we'll do 3 and 4 together. So part 2, solve algebraically for x. Don't run away from it because it has fractions. Fractions are numbers too. And besides, your calculator can solve it for you. So first thing I want to do is take a look and distribute. So that's what I'm going to do. Distribute the negative 2/3. So we're going to have negative 2/3 x. 2/3 times the 12, my calculator tells me is going to be a negative 8 plus 2/3 x equals a negative 5/4 x. I'm just rewriting what's over here. Okay? Now if I look right off the bat, I have a negative 2/3 x, positive 2/3 x. They eliminate each other. I have a negative 8 left. And I'll just rewrite it to make it neater. Okay, I want to get x by itself. So I start by subtracting 2 on both sides. So I have negative 10 equals negative 5/4 x. So if I divide both sides by a negative 5/4, should give me my answer. And I don't know what that is, but guess what does? Okay, my calculator. So I'm going to go ahead, take my calculator. I'm going to type in negative 10 divided by negative 5/4. So remember how to put a fraction in. Alpha y equals n over d. I'm going to put in a negative 5/4. So negative 5/4. Enter. 8. Okay. Next one. 26. If c equals g minus 3f, find the trinomial that represents c when f equals 2x squared plus 6x minus 5 and g equals 3x squared plus 4. So all we want to do is plug in for f, all of this, okay, and for g, all that. So I see the 3x squared, so c equals the 3x squared plus 4, okay, minus 3 times my f, which is 2x squared plus 6x minus 5. So it looks really big, and it is, but it's definitely solvable. I see I'm going to have to distribute. I'm going to circle the sign in front. So I'm going to rewrite what I have to the left here. Now when I distribute negative 3 times 2x squared, I get negative 6x squared. Negative 3 times the 6 is a minus 18x. And a negative 3 times a minus 5 is a plus 15. So now I'm going to look and combine like terms. X squareds with x squareds. Circle the sign in front, and that tells you what to do. So I have a 3x squared minus a 6x squared, which is a negative 3x squared. Okay, and then I'm going to have just my plain x right here. And lastly, I'll have my constants, which is going to be a positive 19. So that's 26. Okay, 27. Looks like we got a piecewise function here. And these aren't that bad, guys. Hardest thing is really to recognize what the restrictions are. Okay, so this one says we want to go only between negative 5 and 2. And this bottom one, we only want to go between 2 and 6. I'm going to label, this is going to be a solid dot at negative 5, and this will be an open dot at 2. Then both of these will be solids, okay, because of the line underneath the inequality. So we're going to go ahead and type each one into our graphing calculator one at a time. So this is the absolute value of x. So absolute value of x with my xy chart. And again, I only care about from -5 to 2. -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And on the other side, I have the -2x plus 10 for an xy chart. And I only care about 2 to 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Again, I know. We're going to label the xy axes with our numbers. Positives are to the right and up. So let's go ahead and label. Doesn't take long. Same over here. And the negatives are going to end up going to the left and then down. Okay, you have all the time in the world to complete this exam. 3 hours, it's a long time. It always helps to label. Makes things go, believe it or not, faster. Alright, so absolute value of x. So how do you put absolute values in your calculator? Okay, you're going to hit the y equals button. So we're going to plug this one in. The absolute value is math. Go over the number. ABS stands for absolute value. Press enter. There it is. It is just x. Go outside the absolute value. Second graph to get my xy chart. And I went from -5 to 2. So I noticed that it says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. And now let's go ahead and let's get the other one since we're here. Clear it out. -2x plus 10. Second graph, and we only care about between 2 and 6. I'm going to have to scroll. So we're at 2, 6, 3, 4, 4, 2, 5, 0, and 6, -2. All right. Keep it in mind that I'm going to have an open dot somewhere. My open dot is going to be at 2 for this part of the function. So let's go ahead and graph this now. So -5, 5, that's going to be the solid dot. Okay. -4, 4, -3, 3, -2, 2, -1, 1, 0, 0, and then my open dot not yet. 1, 1, open dot is at 2, 2. Okay, gotta use a straight edge. So again, if you don't have a straight edge or one wasn't provided for you, raise your hand. I actually forgot my straight edge, so I'm just going to use a folded sheet of paper real fast to get through this. So we have there, and there. Okay, and now we're going to do the other part. So we're at 2, 6, 3, 4, 4, 2, 5, 0, and 6, -2. Remember, no arrows on these. No arrows because of the restrictions that they gave us. Okay, and that's all that one is. Okay, moving on. I'm not sure if you're seeing it, so I'll put it back real fast. Alright, moving on. 28. So 5x squared equals 180. This was an easy gimme question. Okay, so how do I solve for x? Divide both sides by 5. X squared equals 36. How do you get rid of a squared? You take the square root. Square root of 36 is both a plus and minus 6. If you just put 6 there, it's half the points. Remember, square roots give you both a positive and a negative value because negative 6 times a negative 6 is a positive 36, okay? So keep that in mind when they give you something like this. All right, 39. A blizzard occurred on the East Coast during January 2016. Snowfall totals from the storm were recorded for Washington, D.C. and are shown in the table below. Which interval, 1 a.m. to noon, or 6 a.m. to 3, has the greatest rate of snowfall in inches per hour? Justify your answer. All right, so greatest rate of change is the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Time is your x. Snow in inches are your y's. So let's go ahead and find from 1 a.m. to noon. And then the other one is between 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I'm just going to label real first the 1 a.m. to noon. We'll do dots for that, 1 a.m. to noon. Okay, so 1 a.m. for our y's, we're going to have 33 and 1. And for our x's, since I went up like that, between 1 a.m. and noon is going to be 12 minus 1. So 33 minus 1 is 32. 12 minus 1 is 11. 32 divided by 11. Hopefully I didn't go off the screen on this one. Is 2.90 repeating. Okay, now the other one, you want 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'll do those with stars. So between, we got 36 and 11. So we're going to do 36 minus 11 over, you know, it's 3 p.m. to 6 a.m. So how many hours is that going to be? So from 6 a.m. to noon, that's 6 hours plus 3, that's going to be 9. So 9 hours. So that's going to be 25 over 9, which is 25 divided by 9, 2.7 repeating. So which one has the greatest snowfall? So the greatest snowfall is between 1 a.m. and noon, because 2.90 is greater than 2.7 average rate of snowfall. Okay, not too bad, just the rate of change twice on that one. Okay, moving on. Number 30. The formula for a volume of a cone is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. Solve the equation for h in terms of V, R, and pi. So we want h by itself. So V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. This is what we're looking to get by itself. So just because we had the fraction there, let's get rid of the fraction. The opposite of dividing by 3, which means 1 divided by 3, is multiplying by 3. So if I multiply both sides by 3, 1/3 and the 3 cancel, so I'm left with 3v equals pi r squared h. So how do I get rid of the pi r squared? Divide both sides by pi r squared. When I divide both sides by pi r squared, these cancel. I'm left with h on this side and the 3v over pi r squared on that side. Okay, moving on. Next one. Recursive formulas. Okay. They give you a1 to be 3. an equals 2 times an minus 1 plus 1. State the value of a2, a3, a4 for the given formula. All right. So a2 means you're going to plug in 2 for here and for here. So 2 for n. So for a2, we're going to have, that's going to equal 2 times a, then 2 minus 1 is 1, so it's a1 plus 1. We know a1 is equal to 3 because it's given to us. So a2 is going to be 2 times my a1, which was 3, plus the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. So a2 equals 8. Okay, the next one, we want to plug in 3. So when I plug in 3 for a3, okay, we're going to get 2 times, when I plug in 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, so a2 plus 1. We know what a2 is from our last, what we just solved. a2 is 8. So we're going to plug in 8 for a2. So a3 equals 2 times 8 plus 1. 8 plus 1 we know is 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. So a3 equals 18. Okay. And then finally for a4, when we plug in 4 for n, that's going to give us 4 minus 1, which is 3. So 2 times a3 plus 1. So a4 equals 2 times my a3, which we solved for already, is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. So 2 times 19 is 38. So those are your solutions for a2, a3, and a4 for the recursive formula. Okay, 32. Last one for part 2. Says determine and state the vertex a squared minus 2x minus 8 using the method of completing the square. So the vertex for a quadratic formula, or quadratic equation rather, in completing the square form is x minus h plus some k. And the vertex is going to be what your h is. Oh, there's a square there, sorry. It's going to be what your h is and whatever your k is. So basically, if this was a minus 3, h would be 3. All right. So we got to complete the square for the x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay, and the way we do that is completing the square is taking b, the b part of the equation, having it, and then squaring it. All right? And then whatever that is, we got to add it to both sides. So we're going to have, let's see, having b, so this is what it looks like. So we're going to take b, which is negative 2, have it, square it. So this is going to be negative 1 squared, which equals 1. Okay, by doing that, I can now go ahead and add it to the quadratic here. Squared minus 2x plus 1 minus 8, but because I added a +1, I have to do the opposite. Okay, because if I add 1 and take away 1, I'm back to the original. So if I add the 1 there, I got to subtract it as well. So when I do that, I'm left with this part here and then this part. So x squared minus 2x plus 1, and then we got the -8 minus 1, which is a -9. We're going to leave that off for a minute, because this, when I factor it, is going to be the x minus 1 squared, and that's going to be a -9. Okay? That was the point of completing the square there. So now when I complete the square and I use this formula, I know that my vertex is going to be at 1, -9. So that's how you solve that one. I know it's weird completing this square. It takes a little bit getting used to, but now what if you didn't know that? If you didn't know that, you could put it in your graphing calculator, this part here, hit graph, and find the vertex through a table. You wouldn't get full credit, but at least you know what the vertex would be. So also, try doing it by what they say that they want you to do. And that's part 2. We're going to do parts 3 and 4 in the next video.